Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of People Helping People. Thank you all for tuning in, and we have a special episode today. It's a little bit earlier than normal. Typically, we do an 8 o'clock stream, and we are here just to bring you business owners, musicians, and artists. Get to know these people a little bit better, get some insight, get some wisdom, get some intel. And if you're looking to get into any of these types of businesses, hopefully they can give you some nuggets, some little things that they've learned along the way, picked up, and have been able to regurgitate for our audience. And I just want to give everybody a warm welcome for one, and two, some appreciation. We've been growing as we've been doing these streams. Everybody that's been commenting, they've been jumping into the streams, being a part of the conversation. We sincerely appreciate you guys. And yeah, let's get it going for another episode of People Helping People. Nice, cool sip of Joe in the afternoon. How sweet it is. Key Beats 89, we see you out there. Welcome in. Man, do we have an exciting show for you guys. Listen, for those of you who don't know, I own a car rental agency and have been doing this for a little while now. And as I was in my beginning phases, I'm all over YouTube, I'm all over Google, and I'm learning how to start this business. I'm just trying to figure out the ins and outs, ups and downs, highs and lows, things to watch out for. And there's somebody out there who's going to be on the show today who gave me mentorship without even realizing how much value he was adding to my business. And he's been in the business for a while, and he's built up something amazing, incredible. And he's talked ad nauseum to the point of what car rentals are and what to expect. And, you know, given everybody so much wisdom on that topic. And today we're going to do a deep dive on who he is, how he got started, and what where he's at now. We're going to figure out, you know, who he is as an entrepreneur and an individual and his goals moving forward. And I'm very, very excited to have Max Hart from King of Rentals on the show today. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Max. Welcome in, brother. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to come onto the show, man. And I don't know if you heard, but I was out here just giving you your flowers and allowing people to understand that you started a YouTube channel to give people information on what to expect with car rentals. Your YouTube channel, King of Rentals, was like my Bible. I just studied, and you gave me the highs and lows, ins and outs of what to expect and how to maneuver within the business. So I want to give you your flowers and thank you for that. But also, I want to give you a moment to go ahead and introduce yourself. So go ahead. For the people that don't know, who are you?
Yeah, so my name is Max. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I started a car rental company about 4 years ago with my brother, Zach. Started a YouTube channel right around the same time where we're inspired by some of the early greats, which was like Aubrey Janik, Samaya's Experience, and a couple others, but those were the two main ones. And they pretty much fueled us to build our car rental company. Started similar to many others, like start with one car, put our own money into it, and then slowly grew it. And now we have a fleet of just under 300 Teslas and then a bunch of other like behind me, fun, exciting cars. So it's been quite a journey, 4 years in, and we're just getting started.
Yeah. So this is just the tip of the iceberg for you. That's great. So tell me, man, you as an entrepreneur, is that something prior to doing the car rental thing, is that something that you just kind of had in your blood, or were you raised around that? Or tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial experience.
Yeah, so I was raised a little bit kind of in an entrepreneurial world, and really the main person was my grandfather. He was like a serial entrepreneur, so he's always started businesses and like was looking for like a deal. So kind of when I grew up, I just really idled that, and I always wanted to have my own business. I always wanted to start something, and I did. Like when I was younger, I've probably started 15 companies total, like small through high school and college. And I mean, it's nothing took off, nothing was serious, but it's always a passion. And I'd always go to my parents and like pitch them the next idea of like the thing that I wanted to create. And they'd always like brush it off or laugh and say, that's a great idea, sweetie. I'm excited to see how it goes. But they never
Yeah.
really took it seriously. And then we started this and same thing. I was like, I want to start renting cars out. And they just kind of like, good job. Like, let's see what you can do. And then we built it. Now they're really proud of where we're at, but yeah, we definitely have a long ways to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's such a common thread with entrepreneurs is they throw spaghetti against a wall and see what sticks. You know, you just have to keep continually trying new things until you find something that works. And the people around us, we sound crazy because I've done the same thing. We start all these little businesses left and right, and it feels like, those things can be failures at the time because they may not pan out. And the people that are watching and seeing you do these things, it's like, okay, here goes another, here goes another. Now, when you were starting all these businesses, was there anything else that caught traction? Like, was there a point where you're like, hey, I'm onto something here, and then maybe that fell through the cracks?
Not necessarily. The company that I had before this was a video production company, and it was hard because I was in a place where I was really spread thin. Kind of, I feel like I see it, and I see it in a lot of people now. They will start a company and then they'll try to start another one, then they'll start another one. They're trying to like do a bunch of side hustles and
Mm.
think that a bunch of small things can equate to like something large, which isn't really how it should be. I mean, if you're going to build something big, I think it takes a lot of focus. So, short answer is yes. I, my last one was a video production company, which I kind of came to a road, which I was like, if I'm going to build one of these, I need to put all my focus on it, like 24 hours a day, and I saw more potential in the car rentals. So I decided to sell the media company. I sold it to my first employee that I hired. And we kind of got a good deal working where it's a good deal for him. I kind of like hooked him up, and it was a good deal for me because I was able to get out of it and not have to try to run two companies at the same time because it's too much. And for those that are trying to start up all these little ventures and do these like side quests or side hustles, it's just I see more often than not that they go nowhere. Like for me, I'd rather have one super successful business than 50 kind of somewhat successful businesses. Like
Yeah. Yeah. You can really get your head spinning if you have too many, what do they say? Too many sticks in the fire, right? And
100%.
And yeah, so you would say that through your journey of starting small businesses and to get something, I just want to say too, thank you for sharing that. But to get to the point where you can sell a business, so I mean, it was profitable. You had employees. Can you kind of walk me through that process of when you started the business? You were boots on the ground doing everything, and then you ended up hiring somebody. Like, kind of take me through that process before it came to selling the business.
Yeah, so it pretty much started with I met a guy. We were both doing film work at the same time, which like we're just filming for dealerships or companies, just super like they call it like freelance stuff, which means you just get paid by the hour or project, nothing fancy. And we met somehow through a connection, and we both said, let's start a company. So we did. We started a company, and it started out really small, like just both of us doing all of the work, admin, filming, editing, like every piece of it. And then we came to a point in the business where he wanted to get out. So I bought his portion out because we're like 50-50 owners. And I kept building it. And I really kept it myself for the longest time until I hired my first employee. And then after that, I hired another employee. So we had two employees. And then I had a bunch of like freelancers. So most of the company was actually in freelance work. So I built it up, and honestly, it was not that big of a company. Like it wasn't that big of a sale. Um, and for the sale, it's really kind of simple. We just like sat in a room, and it was perfect timing because he wanted to buy into the business and I wanted to get out. So it kind of worked out where I was like, "Do you want to just buy the whole thing?" And he's like, "Well, if the numbers make sense." We literally wrote on a whiteboard. I'm like, "How about this? We each write a number, what you want to buy for, what I want to sell for, and we'll just meet in the middle." And so we did, and he wrote his number down, which I thought was fair, and I didn't write a number down. I was like, fine, like I'll give it to you. Like, I wanted to treat him right. I wanted to kind of hook him up. And so I just took his number and I sold it to him.
Nice. Very nice. Man, so that in that journey took you guys how long to get to that point?
The company was as far as like the new going through the sale phase or starting the
From
company and then
start,
selling
yeah,
it.
from starting the company, building it, and then to sales.
I probably had it for like it was 3 years that I had
Okay.
it.
Nice. Wow. So that, yeah, that's for a lot of people to even keep a business afloat for 3 years is something to be proud of.
Yeah.
And a lot of businesses anymore, I know a lot of the local business owners here, at least, to have profit within your business and be able to eat from the profit versus just the business kind of folding in on itself consistently, is something that a lot of people struggle with. Now, did you find with that business that delegation was key in order to branch out and actually make some money?
Um. Yeah, kind of. I don't think I did really well at the video production business. Like I felt like I didn't learn that there. I didn't learn that delegation was like key. I knew that I needed to do it, but I wasn't good at doing it at the time. I mean, when I sold it, I was like 23. So the whole time owning it, I was in my early 20s. So I just didn't, I hadn't learned the lesson. And so I would delegate, but I'd still try to do it myself. And I was still doing a lot of the work, even towards the end. So I don't think I learned delegation until starting this business. And I'm
Yeah,
still learning it to this day. Like, and I'm realizing how important it is, especially with like the mundane tasks, the simple things that like take up 90% of your day. But I wouldn't say I learned it really in starting that company. I'd say I probably have been learning it more over the past like couple months as we've been
nice.
hiring more people here.
Yeah, yeah. It seems as though those lessons keep resurfacing until they're learned, right? And you
Yeah.
kind of just take your lashings and chinks in your armor over and over until finally you're like, oh, wait a minute. The world's been asking for me to do this to lighten my load or take this off my plate for so long. And when you finally get to that point where you can just say, okay, I'm going to put my trust, because I think the age old saying, if you want something right, you got to do it yourself. I kind of have to combat with that, because with any business at all, you can only get to a certain point before you absolutely need more people. And then you're instilling your trust in them, and then you have
Yeah.
SOPs, your standard operating procedures that need to trickle down to those people, and they need to be trained properly. And yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn. And the fact that you started so many businesses over the years, those lessons, I'm sure that once you started the Turo business, because it did start on Turo prior to where you are now, all of those lessons came into play. And you could
Hmm.
kind of pull these tools from your toolbox of all the failures and mistakes and things that you had learned to put towards this Turo business. So
Yeah.
I want to ask this. You sold that business, and then you and your brother decided to dive all in on Turo. Now, what does diving all in look like for you?
I think it's just focusing 100% of my effort into the business. Like before, I was completely split. I mean, half my time would be spent trying to run the media business, and then half my time would be spent here trying to like manage the operation. Still in the beginning, we weren't like delegating much, so like we're cleaning the cars, we're messaging guests, like we're doing everything. So 100% dedication for me was okay. Let me put 100% focus on this, and let me figure out what it's going to take to get it to a 7, 8, 9 figure business.
Yeah. Yeah. And then did you end up starting a YouTube channel when you first started that business, or when did that come into play?
It's pretty close to it, and I, it was probably within the first couple months, and I started it because I wanted to. It's funny because I didn't really have a lot of knowledge at the time. Like I wasn't, some like car rental genius. I mean, still today I'm not. Like there's so much I need to learn. But in the beginning, it was really I wanted to interview people, and so I kind of used it as an excuse to, hey, I have a YouTube channel. Let me interview you and get some information. And so I gave the people a platform, and for me, it gave me a way to like just ask them all the questions that I had like brewing in my mind. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like a cheat code for me. I just did it really to interview the biggest people. And that's I mean everyone on my channel. for the most part, like the biggest Turo hosts that are out there. So, or
Yeah.
that I've been able to interview. There's still a lot that I haven't that are private. They don't like to be on YouTube.
Sure. Sure. And would you say that doing the social media side of things and using that as leverage, like, hey, listen, I have this platform, I've started this YouTube channel, I'm interviewing people, so really you're just collecting knowledge and then maybe just regurgitating it to the people that are already watching you, and then you're
Hmm.
implementing as well, so
Yeah,
it really was a cheat code for you.
yeah.
And then would you say that that was one of the best things that you could do in starting a business, is just be consistent with the social media aspect of things?
I think it depends on what you want to do. I'm starting to realize that the probably the most important thing in owning a business, like no matter what business it is you need to be good at attracting customers, whether it's marketing or like cold calling or door knocking, whatever it is, like find the highest converting thing. And social media isn't like for me, I want to build a community because I want to I mean, there's stuff that I want to do with it. Like I want to push the audience or not push the audience, but I want to like guide the audience towards certain things. But if you're just building a car rental business, I don't think social media presence is like uh, essential. Like you don't really need it unless you have a focus. Like a lot of people are building like or creating like online training programs. Like for people that do that, I mean, an audience is essential. But if you're just building businesses, I don't think it's necessary, but it's helpful for sure. But number one focus should be like, how do you get customers?
Mm.
Nothing else. I mean, almost nothing else matters until you can figure that out, and then that applies to all businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to track that as well. Do you have any insights or tips for people that maybe have a business right now and are they may be struggling with reach or the promotion of things? Like, is there some insight that you've learned that's helped you along the way?
I think probably the thing that's helped us the most is creating, and this is kind of like Alex Hormozy-ish, which is like creating an offer which is like hard to say no to. Like
Mm,
for us, we do 90% rideshare rentals right now, which is kind of like what we put most of our focus into. And a couple of the offers that we put out there, which is kind of like looking at it 2 years ago, we would have said we're not going to do that. Like we'd be giving money away up front. Like it's such a good offer for the customer. Like we don't want to do that, but we found a way to do it to where it's a win-win. So for example, like we give um, like heavy promos when people sign up. Like I mean, they come in, they pay very little to pick up the car, but they're signing on for like a multi-month contract. And so
mm,
it's kind of a win-win-win because the customer comes in and like pays little to nothing, and win because we could have a longer term contract. Um, but that like figuring something out like that for your business to where you make it hard for people to say no to it just because there's nothing out there like that is essential. And then finding where your customers are. I mean, like most of our customers are on like Google and Facebook. So that's all we target. I mean, we spend like I think 15,000 a month right now on advertising.
wow. Yeah, that's so important. Find your customer, knowing exactly where it's at. And that comes back to trials and tribulation or trials and errors, right? Like you're figuring out, okay, I'm
But I'm
spending this much
spending this.
here, spending this much here, and wherever it may be, and saying, okay, the ROI on whether it be Google, because it gives you all the analytics. And if you're able to go in and read and say, I got X amount of clicks for X amount of dollars, and that conversion rate was XYZ, write
Mhm.
all those things down for Facebook, for YouTube, for Instagram, for TikTok, for Google, and in finding that reach, finding that niche. And I like what you said there, is finding an offer that somebody can't refuse. So for you in the long run, having a car gone for a long period of time is, well, for one, it's a guaranteed paycheck for you guys for X amount of time, and for the
Yeah.
customer it looks good because they are paying little to nothing up front and having a vehicle that they're going to be able to utilize. What terminology do you guys use for that? Is that just long-term rentals, or what does that look like?
As far as what our program is, like the type of
Yeah.
rental that it is,
Yeah.
it's just like a rideshare rental,
Okay.
Uber, Lyft rental. But
I got
rideshare
you.
is like the general term for it, rideshare rentals.
Gotcha. Yeah. So and also with your YouTube channel, that's a really I just want people to take that home real quick. Just sit on that for a moment if you're a business owner, because that's really insightful. Knowing who your customers are, creating some type of offer that is irrefusable in one degree or another. So thank you for sharing that. Now I want to jump into where things started exponentially growing for you, because I, of course, was following your journey for a long time. So I sit here as a fan, and I thank you again for coming on. But I watched your journey for a long time, and there was like this mass explosion of new things that were happening for you, and I don't know if that pertains to you starting this YouTube channel and reaching out to people, but how did you go from? I guess you can take me through how many cars you went from, who you met, what it built to, and where you're at now.
Yeah, it was kind of a mix of meeting the right people and then a bunch of luck.
Hmm.
The biggest, well, there's been like a couple uh, large increments. So one of them, for example, is we went from like 20 cars to 60 cars, and that was a business that we're partnered with. They went out of business. They closed their doors. So essentially, we took over their co-hosts. So um, we went from again 20 to 60 cars overnight. So
And
that
for
was
people
that
that
was a
don't
pretty big.
know, for people that don't know, what is a co-host?
Co-host is pretty much an investor that gives you their car to rent out.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So from 20 to 60 cars, huge leap.
Mhm.
Um, what was the what was the head spinning like with that jump? Because I can't imagine all of a sudden three times as many vehicles. Did you
Yeah.
have your SOPs in place?
Yeah, we did. It was difficult because at the time we hadn't been renting co-host cars. We didn't have a process for other people's cars, other people's money, and like payouts and like tracking their expenses. So we had to create a system for that, which was kind of difficult at first. But then once we created it, it was easy. Like right now, we have a system that's super easy to manage for co-host. But initially, it's really difficult. And then the jump, obviously, when you triple your cars, that in itself is challenging because you have the ability, whether it's your team members or I mean whatever it is. So it's kind of can be a difficult jump, but probably not as hard as you think. The only thing you'd need is like more people to help with like ground operations.
Yeah. Yeah. So from 20 to 60, and then I mean, I saw different iterations of your company as well, right? Because I went to Phoenix for like this. You guys were going to be doing some classes and things like that. That for whatever reason, it came to a close. But there were was that jump from 20 to 60 there?
That was the jump. So we're gonna start a. So we started doing events with the guy that went out of business, and we were gonna start doing like like live training programs for people where they'd come in and we like teach people how to do things in person. And when he went out of business, that whole concept went out the window because he was, how he was half the battle, and at the time he was way bigger than I was. I mean, I had 20 cars and he had 150, so he was kind of like the mastermind behind it. So when he went out of business, those plans went completely out the window.
Yes. And that's sometimes how it goes. You guys pivoted a lot through everything
Yeah.
that you've been through. And so you guys pivoted from there. You got your cars out of that location. And what had happened after that?
After that, we moved in, not at this location, but with this partner, which is Justin, EB Access. And before we moved in with the last partner who went out of business, we're moving out of our old office, which was like in a sketchy area. And I contacted my old partner and Justin, and I was like, "Hey, can we move in?" I was trying to like put feelers out to see if we can like get a shared location with somebody, which is like my dream. They both said yes, and I chose the first one, which went out of business because I like the idea of like online training program and like teaching people and coaching people. And he was really good at like speaking and like he would have been really good at that area. And he sold me. He sold me on like, let's create this training program and let's teach people and like there's so much potential. And so we moved in there. But our other option was coming with Justin, and it's funny because we ended up coming here anyways. But when he went out of business, Justin was pretty much the main person that I knew that was because I wanted to go with somebody that was bigger than us, like much bigger. At the time when we moved in with Justin, he had like 200 cars, maybe 250. And I wanted to because I wanted to learn. Like that was my only
Mm.
concept. Like, how can I learn? It's going to probably cost me money because it's going to be more expensive space, whatever it is. But what can I do to learn from somebody that has built something much bigger than myself? So that's exactly what we did, and that's pretty much why we did. And it cost us. I mean, for example, like at our first place, we're spending $2,400 a month, but no employees. That was for like our no, sorry, it's less. It's like 1,800 a month. That's for our office. That's for our parking lot. We were paying ourselves like pretty much nothing every month. We just want to keep the money in the business. To spending like at our old office, we're spending like between everything like 12 to 15,000 a month. So big jump.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, so you folded everything back into the business for a while.
Mhm.
And gosh, just to think to go from the scale that you were at to where you're at now is unfathomable for a lot of people, especially, like myself. Small host, got a few cars. We fluctuated anywhere from 4 to 8 cars and back down and kind of all over the place, right? And it's been a fun endeavor. I've really learned a lot and really enjoyed it. But when I look at something that is of scale, we talk about standard operating procedures, and I kind of want to pick your brain when you go to that, you start building this momentum and you have all these different vehicles around and you see that you need employees. Like, what was the biggest shift in your mind and the biggest thing that you had to change about yourself as a leader in that type of situation when you did grow to that scale?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is it wasn't something like a system or procedure because everything stays the same. It was two main things. It was seeing the potential, like seeing, okay, we can build something. Because before I was like, let's get to like a couple hundred cars. That's the dream. And now I'm like, let's get to five figures of cars. Like that'd be cool. Um, like I mean, and I feel like people say this a lot. When you scale and you make big jumps, all it does is open up your eyes to see the potential of like what you can do.
Hmm.
Because when you're starting, you're like, oh, like I'd love to build this to 10 cars. Like in the beginning, we're like, let's get to 10 or 20 or 50, and then like 100, like that's a huge number. Now we're like, okay, well, we need to get to 1,000 by the end of the year, and we need to get to 10,000 within the next like 5 years.
Yeah.
So it just like completely opened up my eyes. And then the second thing, which we already kind of touched on, was delegation. I realized that like, and this was another reason I wanted to move in with somebody, is because I was spending so much time on the day-to-day tasks that first off I didn't want to anymore. So I wanted to figure out how to delegate it, and I wanted to learn from somebody that had already done it, like was actively delegating pretty much all their tasks. And I'm still not a like completely. I'm probably not the best person at it, or not even like a good example. Um, but I'm glad I got my foot in the door and started learning, because I think it's definitely key in scaling. Like you can't have, I mean, what the biggest Turo host has like 1,400 cars. Like you can't get to that size without having people do a lot of the, I mean, all the groundwork obviously, and then like a lot of the admin work.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. So would you say that, when something like that, well, I just want to say too, thank you for sharing for one, but I feel as though there's so many people that are looking to scale and do things like that, but also knowing your role, knowing what you're good at, your strong suits. And for you to sit here and be like, delegation's not my strongest suit. Like that's admirable in itself. And a lot of people don't take accountability for not being able to do things. And I'm guilty of it as a business owner myself. I feel like I want to take on everything that I can take on and not give up the control, and hoping that somebody else is going to be able to carry the weight that I have to carry or whatever it may be. But so when you now right now you said almost 300 cars, but you're looking at basically putting rent a car, Hertz, everybody out of business. You're looking to be that guy. What is next for you guys? What do the goals look like? I mean, you surrounding yourself by smarter people and learning from them as you go, and now you're obviously filling up your own cup to a point where you can spread that knowledge. But when you're at a point that is scaled that big, what do the goals look like?
Yeah, the goals, And I mentioned cars, like you want to get to 1,000, you want to get to 10,000. That's not
Sure.
like those aren't really the main goals. I mean, more cars, more revenue, like that's cool. The main thing is I want to build something that we're wanting to build into the future. So a lot of people have this idea of like robo taxis and like a robo taxi fleet. So we're actively like kind of building the back end for it. Like, what does it look like to manage a robo taxi? And so we're building some stuff out right now for it. Not to say like we're building like logistics companies or anything, but we're a lot of our systems are kind of built in hopes that the taxi technology comes out soon. And then once that does, like that's our goal. Like, I mean, our next focus, along with obviously buying cars, is how do we build a fully autonomous down to like cleaning the cars, inspecting them? Like, how do we build a robo taxi fleet that's 100% autonomous?
Mm,
That's
God.
our goal. I mean, I'd rather have a 2,000 car fleet that's fully autonomous than a 10,000 car fleet that has crazy amount of operations that you have to worry about.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, I was going to ask you if that made you nervous that that's going to be taking over the world, but if you're at the forefront of it and you're on top of things and you are the one that is supplying that, then I mean, yeah, you just have your little robots running around cashing out. That sounds that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so let's talk. Go ahead.
no. Go. I was gonna say it's gonna be a big shift because it's gonna completely change our business model. I mean, we're going from renting right now to pretty much just managing, and managing meaning like making sure the cars are picking up the customers and getting cleaned and stuff, which is similar to what we're doing, but it's not going to be on a rental level. It'll be collecting revenue from like the platforms.
Mm. Is there a time frame for that? Do you guys have an idea of when this could be in place?
I know that they're doing a robo taxi launch event in the next like 30 days, is what I've been
Hmm.
told. So robo taxis will launch. They will go in two major cities, which I'm not mistaken is LA and Austin or Dallas, so Texas. And then from there, once they get grants, I don't know if it's government based or like state or country, whatever it is, they will expand through the US. And during that, they'll come out with the software update for hardware 4. So a lot of our Teslas we have are hardware 3, meaning that we'd have to upgrade them to even have the technology. So pretty much our next batch of purchases is going to have to be hardware 4 because when the technology comes out, we pretty much need to have everything lined up, like the connection to Uber or Lyft or whatever it is, the logistics company, the cleaning figured out, and it's going to start non-autonomous in the beginning, like manual cleanings, manual inspections, like a lot of manual labor, like plugging them in manually. But then the goal would be, okay, let's take one step at a time. How do we make the cleaning autonomous to as much as we can? Maybe it starts with like, maybe you need 10 cleaners at per location for like 500 cars, but how do we get it down to one managing cleaning robots, or one just like super fast cleaner, whatever it is? Like, how do we scale it down and then eventually make it autonomous?
Hmm.
So I think it's gonna take a lot of time. Even when the technology comes out, the infrastructure you're gonna need to build out as far as like um, the apps, like the softwares, and then like the grounds team and operation. It's gonna take a lot of time.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Something to think about. And I've been thinking about that same thing as well, but obviously on a smaller scale. And how, I always thought that maybe cars would just be subscription services, right? Like you would never pay for a lease again. You would pay a monthly subscription that would have your insurance and everything. And we haven't seen that quite yet. But with things going completely autonomous and into robotics, I think that it's going to be an interesting thing when you have an actual fleet that can be on the forefront of that. So I look forward to seeing that and staying in touch with your YouTube channel and checking that out. But I do want to pivot and ask, now that you have, what is it, 3 owners within your company? You guys have multiple owners, or talk to me a little about that.
Um, we technically operate as there's two companies. So there's Justin at EV Access, and then there's Zach and or my brother and I as Hart Rentals. Um, we've talked about merging, but right now there's pretty much 3 owners that own 2 companies that operate out of the same location.
I got it. And as far as like role assignments, how do you assign your role? Like what exactly is your your badge in that in your company? What is your role?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, my day's pretty much just filled up with meetings. A lot of it's like software or marketing. I'd say if I were to choose one main bucket that I'm like primarily focusing on, it's the marketing aspect. So like looking at the advertisements we have right now, creating new advertisements, getting with the marketing team to see like conversion rate, figuring out a way to like make our funnel better, to like decrease time spent on website to increase conversion rate. So it's a lot of it's like meticulous marketing things, which I enjoy. Like I love seeing the number go from spending $200 per customer conversion down to like 150.
Yeah.
So that's like a big part of my role. And then the rest of my meetings are pretty much just like software and then vendors.
Mm, interesting. Okay. Yeah. And so you have no time other than for work. What do you do to balance life? Is there any work life balance at all?
Yeah, there is a little bit. I
Okay.
mean, I typically I typically leave the office around 5 every day, 5 or 6, just depends on how late it is. And then I'll work. I always have work at home. Like I'll get home. Um, I have 2 dogs. I have a wife, so I'll hang out with them. But I have like an hour of work when I get home, and it's just like small, meticulous, or small little things that I miss during the day. Um, and then I typically try to like close down, like not take calls or texts or emails or anything. But if it's important, I'll do it. So I'm kind of like on and off my phone for the rest of the night. But I try to like I really try when I get home. Home is kind of like the ending point, but it usually doesn't stop there. You usually have like at least an hour
Yeah.
stuff to do.
Yeah, I find it hard with business in general just to find any little amount of balance, and it's a constant teeter. Like there's never a day where it just feels perfect. You're just this cup's filling up too much and then this slips through the cracks, and it's one that whether it be physical health, mental strain, or whatever it is, there's just a constant juggling act. And so when I look at somebody with a business of that scale, I wonder if it was harder in the beginning, or if you find that now that you do have scale and a little bit of delegation, that's things seem easier.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard because it's depending on how much you work, and I wouldn't consider that I work like that much compared to some people that I see probably more like online.
Mhm.
Um, but it's pretty easy to get burned out. I feel like if you're not doing like something outside of working. So like for us, for me, I pretty much like my life is spent work, and then I try to like do outdoor activities like work out at least a couple times a week. And then weekends is pretty much just like either swimming or hanging out with like friends or family. Mostly family. A lot of it spent around family.
Nice, good. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate everybody for stepping in for today's show. I want to thank you, Max, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us, spread some wisdom, give some people some nuggets about life and how to go about figuring out what you need to do and realizing that not everything is going to pan out. Be that crazy person that it has a ton of ideas and gets looked at sideways, and go for it. Go for it. Learn, fall on your face, pick yourself back up and go try something new, because you don't know what's going to stick unless you try, and you can't fail unless you're doing something. So I want to thank you for coming in and sharing a little bit of wisdom with us. And I'm here in your corner. If you ever need cars picked up from Tucson, I got you.
I wish I got over that. That was a good story.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, I just appreciate you taking the time out of the day to speak with us here on People Helping People.
Yeah.
And for anybody that has any questions or wants to get in touch with you, where can they go?
Just check out my YouTube. Well, probably email, I guess. So if anybody needs anything, you can email me at Hart Reynolds. That's HartRentals@gmail.com. And then my YouTube's King of Rentals. So check that out. I have some good videos still working on it. But either one of those places is a good place to find me.
Awesome, man. And before I let you go, do you have any words of wisdom or anything you'd like to leave with the people?
Just keep your head down and keep working, and eventually you'll either build something great or find out that what you're building is not great and then pivot.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show. And that goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, that hard work creates luck. Doesn't matter what you're doing in life, just keep working hard and something will happen for you. You know, you said you're extremely lucky over the years, but that didn't come from, sitting on the couch and hoping that it lands in your lap. So thanks again for being on the show, Max. And we look forward to seeing your growth. And, if you ever need something, holler at us. And I hope to have you on again soon. All right.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. Yep. Take care.
Peace.
Man, so Max obviously is just an incredible businessman who has put many hats on over the years. He's tried many things before finding something that worked. And that is, I think, the moral of today's story. If there's something that you've been putting off that you're considering trying, start small. Go take a bite, taste it, see if it works for you. Because not everything is going to work. You're going to try something new and realize that it's not for you, and that's okay. But go try something. If you've been thinking or considering of doing it, take the first step. And the first step may just be doing a little bit of research. The first step may be picking up a notepad and writing down ideas. But I hope that this was an informational episode for you guys. It's a little earlier than we typically do, but I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. And I want to say, go to the YouTube channel here, youtube.com/@ People Helping People Live. Go ahead and subscribe to us. We try and go live every single day with a new business owner, artist, or musician. And we just want to showcase things. We want to showcase these people's stories. We want to inspire you to, just be a better individual throughout life. So that's why we're here, People Helping People Live. And I just want to say again, I appreciate you, Max, for coming on the show. And yeah, I look forward to the next one. I hope y'all have an amazing day. And for now, we out. Deuces.